Hello, hi, I'm Lise Colucci. I'm one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello, Iraq, Freedom, and anyone else who's here. Good afternoon. How are you guys doing today? So now my dogs are going to bark, and on cue. Nope, you guys, shh. My kids are coming in the house right as I hit go live, and they're going to play on the porch. So it'll be summer only a little bit longer, and this will be a lot less crazy. Hi, Jess, Lori, and Karina. So let's talk what's up with you guys today. Anything? Oh, no, guys. Dogs. So the dog thinks there's something up. Hey, Oswald. Shh. Live is fun. Okay. Anyway, that's okay. So, hey, Bonnie and Fancy. How are you guys? So today, let's talk about what is going on in your lives. What do you need help with? Hit me with it. Okay. I'm going to start with some questions that people had that had written out to me. And we'll start with that so we have something to start with. Otherwise, you guys let me know what you want. And also what we can talk about this week. I have some ideas for the week, but only a few. So here we go. The shapeshifters. Talk to me about it. Ask me questions. Hit me with something. So give me some direction. Okay. Anyway, let's start here. The thing that this person's been struggling with their narcissist ex is that he made sure that they had everything that they wanted. He was really good at giving presents and gifts and never asked what they spent money on. Although, if something was truly needed, like a new dryer or the carpets needed replacing because they were, 40 years old before he decided to replace them. Even though they didn't want for money and they could totally afford it, he would not do the things they needed. Why does a narcissist do that? To me, it's obvious to me that it's about control. It's about giving to say, look how giving I am, see what I give to you. They're a pet. You're a belonging, right? So you're an object. So they're letting you do the things they want with their money because it makes them feel like they are spoiling their pet. Does that make sense? And instead of doing things that are needed, so to not let you do the things you need to do is totally to control the situation and to manipulate through financial means. So if it's something you really want, they're not going to give it to you. If it's something you kind of could care less about, or a gift or something frivolous, they'll totally give it to you. It's just manipulation. The same way they do, it's love bombing and devaluing within the financial realm. Does that make sense? So Angela, there is no actual topic today. This is a random free for all day. And so anything that you have that's up is a good time to ask, or anything you want to talk about, or just hit me with some topics. And if I don't get to them, I'll use them during the week. And then I have a few questions from other people that I'm just kind of filling in with. So, okay, I'm going to go back to you guys since you're right here. Excuse me. Will I ever stop being super sensitive and unsure of new men? Lori, hello. The more you learn to trust yourself, okay, the better that gets. You never should trust a new person 100%. They're a new person. You don't know anything about them, right? You don't know. What you learn to trust is your own intuition, your own guidance, your own ability to follow the things that you want. In the dating scene, and let me tell you, it's a place to get lost, right? It's very difficult to hold your own, I don't want to say agenda, your own needs and your own wants as the main purpose of what you're doing, because everyone is in such a state of confusion. No one really knows what they're doing out there. A toxic person does, right? They're out predatorily seeking supply. They're not thinking, oh, I'm going to go seek supply. They just think, I need someone to take care of me. I need someone to care for me. I need love. I need this. I need that, right? Need for themselves. So when you're out there looking for a new man, so to speak, or you're looking to meet new men, or you're unsure of one you've met, ask yourself, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? And can this person, based on what they're showing you, honestly be a person that can meet those needs? Does that make sense? Are you trying to fit yourself in to a box that isn't the right size? Are you trying to squeeze a relationship together just because you want one, right? Or is this a genuine person? There's all kinds of ways to look at your own path that you're taking instead of trying to blindly throw trust at a stranger. Even throwing trust at someone who's a semi-stranger is dangerous, right? We can't do that. We have to trust ourselves and be thinking, okay, this isn't really the direction I want my life to go. They drink too much. They do this, they do that. That you watch them. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. And the super sensitive is a good thing. You learn to use it. Okay. Is that making sense? Okay, I'm going to move on. Money thing is so strange and flippy. It sure is. Trying to see the narcissist so that you won't fall into another pitfall. Well, exactly what I was just talking about. Paying attention to the way people behave versus the way you need your life to go is one quick way, because whether or not they're narcissistic, whether or not they're toxic, maybe they're just not right for you. Or maybe that person, friend, partner, whatever, just isn't a fit for your life, right? So it's really about watching other people and not getting swept into the romance, the excitement, the thrill, the newness. You can still enjoy that stuff, but you got to keep 2 feet on the ground, right? And we have to keep our heads in our heads, right? And not all over the place. Excuse me. I heard every time I was brought into the office how much all his kids cost him every day, monthly and yearly. I can imagine that being brought into his office too. Oh, that whole, and now that whole image is horrible. It's horrifying. It's like 1950s terror, right? Being brought into the office to discuss the finances and then be told how much the kids cost him. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's all control, and yet it's like they almost need to have that complaint. I need to know how long it takes the trauma bond to fade. I'm no contact, but I feel so numb and sad and waiting for it to fade. Hannah, have you watched the trauma bond video I did last week? That may help you. It takes what it takes, okay? Everyone's individual. I don't know, how long have you been no contact? It can take a while. It's layers. It's not like, well, I don't want to say that. Sometimes you wake up one day and you go, oh. So the best thing that I can suggest is to truly accept they are toxic. I don't care what you label them. Toxic's enough. They are toxic. And you do, and to realize you do not need to tolerate toxicity in your life. That once you're able to let go of this, okay, once this is able to be released, then you have freedom to have better things in your life. Holding on to something toxic is not going to get you something untoxic. Does that make sense? So it's the acceptance of that I think helps break the trauma bonding. It's the acceptance and the being able to move forward in your own life and stopping those thoughts when they go back to them. It's really hard. I know it's easier said than done. It's actually not even easy to say. It's difficult all around. So tell me how long you've been no contact and tell me what you're trying, and maybe I can help add some extras. Can others who hang around narcissists become a narcissist? No. Act like one? Absolutely. Become self-indulgent, spoiled, selfish? Totally can. Will they lose their empathy if they already have it? And unlikely. What they will probably most likely do is bury their empathy behind the pleasure that they get from the self-satisfied, ego-gratifying lifestyle. But if the empathy piece, I think, the best of my knowledge, is wired within the narcissist's brain to either be there or rather to not be there. So in other words, their brains aren't wired for empathy. And that's why and the older they get, meaning once they're past the age of the neuroplasticity of the brain, which is like what, 23, 25? So once they get past that age, it's gone. That's it. So that's my understanding. So if somebody that is hanging around with a narcissist, they can totally act like one, and they can become just as toxic as one. Because sometimes if the lifestyle is more ego gratifying and satisfying, why not do it? Who cares what other, what if a new man in your life calls you a narcissist? Ooh, I would ask him what he was basing that information on and what I was doing to create the impression that I was narcissistic. That's what I would ask. And I would have a discussion about it and see how they handled it. If they were gaslighting the heck out of me over it, or they were projecting all over me, then bye-bye, right? It could be projection. It could be that they've had experience with it and they're a little trigger shy from it. It could be all kinds of things. Hey, E-Rock, you're back. Jess is saying, how about when they keep stuff, we buy them, so to use that against us? Or do they remember us or completely are indifferent about it? When they keep stuff, we buy them. What do you mean, Jess? I don't understand that. How about when they keep stuff, we buy them to use it against us? Or do they remember us? Can you please ask that just a little different? I'm not following because my brain does that sometimes. I think what you're asking is, after that we're not with them any longer, do they think about us, remember us? When they see objects that we purchased for them, what do they feel about it? Is that what you're asking? I'm going to go on and let me know, and I'll keep answering. Oh, this is fun. I like all the random questions. Okay. All right. Where were we? Jess, there's where we are. Okay. Now I have a husband magically bringing money in that I have been asking for a long time. Okay. Bonnie, my sister that I thought was true, Blue, turned out to be a major backstabbing narcissist. It was shocking to me. Oh. Yeah. I have the sick feeling, E-Rock Freedom says, I have a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach, anticipating communication and dread over a certain narcissistic communication I must undergo soon. Long story, I'm going back to my old building. Okay, so work on the anxiety, E-Rock Freedom. Find things to help with your anxiety. Try a lot of self-care as you go into it so that your head's clearer, so that you aren't carrying it with you all day long. Excuse me, the best you can. Start seeking what helps alleviate your anxiety. Even if it's teeny tiny moments, it's not going to be like it gets rid of it and then you don't feel it. It's more like it gets rid of it for a second. Does that make sense? And every second that you get away from that anxious feeling is a second you don't have to feel it. And it's good. It's good for your nervous system and it helps you calm down. So I would practice some mindfulness exercises and take some walks and eat healthy, stuff like that, to help as best you can until you get through that situation. Okay. I thought I was pretty good at pinpointing narcissists, but I was totally fooled by my sister. Just shocked how she turned. Is it, if you look back now, do you see patterns, Bonnie? Or is it just like a one-time thing that happened? What went down? Lori Rose, I see what you're saying. Sensitive is good. It sets you apart from many. It is good. We just have to realize that what has been used against us as a weakness, sensitivity, is actually our strength. The narcissist takes our strengths and breaks them and beats them down into where we feel they are weaknesses. Often, our vulnerabilities are actually strengths. The places where we are sensitive, open, kind, giving, expressive, those are all actually extremely good strengths. It's just that we have to learn not to give them over to people who are toxic. We have to learn to keep those and reserve those for ourselves and for good people in our lives. So sensitivity is a good thing. It's just, we also have to, I think, learn how to manage our sensitivity so we're not in reaction to it all the time. So we get breaks and we can take care of ourselves with knowing we have sensitive natures. So E-Rock Freedom says, and it's a neighbor. She's the type that stands outside and thinks she's mayor of the building. Ugh. Okay. You feel crazy. What boundaries are you feeling will be pressed against? What boundaries do you feel like you can help put in place so that you're not pushed past where you want to be? That's a question. It's been 2 months. Okay. That's about normal though, Hannah. It takes, you're well within the normal range. It's still feeling trauma bonded. I mean, it's, The more you can focus on your life. So are you doing anything for you? Anything? I'm glad he's gone, but it's still sad. It is sad. We grieve and it's like loss, it's grief. There's loneliness, there's anger, there's all kinds of things, right? There's all kinds of emotions that we got to work through. We have to feel them in order to heal them. It's the path out. So in a sense, be glad you're feeling it and you're not numb right now so that you can let it move through you and be gone. And at the same time, what are you doing for self-care? Because that's the place that you can be placing all of that attention and all of that focus towards, rather than focusing back on how bad you feel, or focusing back worse than that. How bad you feel is one thing, but him or her, whoever it is, right? The narcissist. It's placing our attention back on them is kind of what it's playing with the trauma bond, right? It's hanging on to the threads of the trauma bond. So where can you place focus on you? Can you do something like take a class, activity, a sport, something that is with motion, with other people around, anything? Let's see. Rock Freedom saying, I'm so anxious between a rock and a hard place. I'm anxious over looking for work, but more over the people controlling me anymore. Okay, wait. It's jumping. And then you're saying, where'd it go? Wow, whole bunch of stuff here. Okay. Sorry. Okay. All right. I lost it. I'm going to move on. Hard to reconcile the good with the bad. There was no good, Hannah. That's my reconciliation. There was no good. The good was always there to control you. The good was only there because of a mood the narcissist was in, to be good in the moment. The good wasn't the true good that we need from someone else. It wasn't just purity and kindness and connection. The good is about control. So accept what they are. Just find a way to burst the bubble that there was this good person and this bad person within the person. That's all the same. The good and the bad is one. That's how I see it. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes people have this moment where they go, oh my gosh, I get it. And it's like that trauma bond changes at that point. So just keep accepting that they are what they are, and realize that the good that you want in your life is nothing they can actually give you. They were able to give you what looked like it, but it's not what you actually need. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, my screen is doing weird things too. I don't know if it's your phone, either Rock Freedom or if trying to detach, I'm thinking now. Wait, trying to detach, I'm thinking now by both of us. Linnell, I don't understand what you're saying. Finally, we shall see. Question. Do narcissists feel anxiety? Yes, they do. It would seem if they do, or that they would have some sort of self-consciousness. They do have self-consciousness. They are aware. Okay. What they do is instantaneously push any accountability for that awareness behind their ego. So picture ego like a wall. Just picture it like a stone wall. And they're standing, they are inside the wall. So their little faces like in the wall. Okay. Outside the wall is the consciousness on this side. And they get the information and they see what they're doing. And they take that information and shove it over the wall. And that's it. Once it's behind that ego, because they have no empathy, the accountability and the lack of accountability and the lack of empathy work together to completely wash their hands of it. They have extreme anxiety over the way they are. I know, well, the ones I've known have extreme anxiety. In fact, even so much that that becomes this victim stance and this victim mentality of, well, everyone turns against me, everyone this. I don't know why people do this to me. I'm actually a really good person, blah, 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 right? So, yes, they have extreme anxiety. They just repress it and they project it out onto other people so they don't have to feel it. Have you ever noticed how anxious you feel around them? That's partially them. Okay. I don't know about psychopaths and anxiety. I have no idea, but the narcissists I've known absolutely feel anxiety, and and I've watched it. So It's all tools against us because it meant something to you when you gave it. That's right. Oh, the gifts. Yes. Lori Rose, I was trying to share what I'm going through with my children, and he told me I sounded like a narcissist. I was pissed and hurt. Okay, so somebody asked me, let me read what they wrote, if I can find it now that I've closed it like a silly person. Let's see. They wrote they would like for me to make a video that addresses our friends and family and explains to them what we are going through. Speaking the words for you guys, because they're hard to explain and express to people that we know and love. So hopefully I can do that this week. I'm hoping tomorrow. I have to think on it and work on it. And if anyone has any ideas, please put them in the main comments, not the chat, because it's hard for me to find it in chat. If you have any ideas on what you would like your friends and family to hear that I can word in a way that's just me talking, you know what I'm saying? So that it can be just shown to people. Say, hey, this is what I'm going through. Bam. Instead of coming from your own mouth, which then can lead to exactly what Lori Rose is talking about, right? People not getting it. So any ideas for that, put it in the main comments later, okay? Let's see. Bonnie, interesting. So they can bury their empathy. Well, they don't have empathy. They bury their feelings behind the ego. They don't have empathy. Hard to get, right? They don't have the ability to put themselves emotionally in having to experience another person's emotional state, to experience another, the connection with another person that comes on a deep emotional level where we empathize, right? Where we truly feel the feelings, the pain, the experience of the other person. We can't know that it's 100% accurate, but we feel something, right? We feel a draw toward that other person to help, to console, to whatever, or just to feel with them, right? They don't have that. They can have compassion. Yeah, I don't even want to call it that. They can have I have to think of a good word for this, but basically, like if it's an experience they've had before and they see someone going through the same thing, they might sympathize. That's what they can have, sympathizing moments where they can sympathize with people, but it's not empathy. So that's where people get confused, especially with coverts, because it can look like empathy because they're sympathizing, but really it's just them saying, oh, I've had that happen before, or that's my biggest fear. Me, instead of, empathy is different. We know this. So let's see. So they can bury their empathy and become you're talking about people who are friends. Sorry, got confused. People who are friends with a narcissist who hang out with them a long time. And I was saying, absolutely, you can have a ton of fleas from that, and you can live a lifestyle that is emulating the narcissist, right? They can bury their empathy and become a narcissist lookalike. I think so. I mean, there's plenty of toxic people out there who aren't narcissists, who have empathy. If it soothes their ego, yes, they turn into a toxic person, even if they used to have the empathy chip, right? Even if they still have it, they may feel guilty. They may, self-medicate to get rid of the guilt. They may project that people can have, just because someone's not a narcissist doesn't make them good, right? You have to kind of have to want to be, and you have to pay attention. If you're going through life copying the behaviors of a narcissist, meaning you're using the toxic relationship patterns, the toxic argument style, the manipulation, the game playing, the mask wearing, but you have empathy, you're still toxic, right? So, and yes, it happens. And if you choose to have self-awareness and wake up and you have empathy, then a lot of therapy might help. But mostly I just figure people who live that way want to live that way, regardless of the empathy factor, and they can just live that way without me. I don't want that. Yeah, exactly. E-Rock Freedom, I'm going to sum it up. Some people are just lazy and don't care about how they treat you. There is that. It's because having self-awareness is work. Once you have self-awareness and doing something with that self-awareness rather than turning it around into a pity party for yourself, it's work. That's why this is so hard. We, after narcissistic abuse, have to do the work that other people aren't willing to do on themselves, because we're at a point where if we continue down the path that we're feeling, if we stay in this trauma bonded state, we're a little bit toxic to other people in the long run, right? We can't live like this forever and ever. We have to keep healing, and we know this, and so we do. So we're doing the hard work. And those of people who cause the pain do no work on themselves. So it doesn't seem fair, but here's the payoff. Your life becomes much more beautiful and much more free once you start doing it, and once you get past that stuff. Okay. It's been 2 months. I'm doing positive things and making new friends. Just wondering how long it takes the feelings to fade. My friend said a year. It can take, you are an individual human being, and your timeline is your timeline. If you have never had toxic abuse before, it probably won't take as long. If you've had it in the past, then it's a pattern, right? And that pattern is what you're healing. You're not just healing from one toxic person. So if you're healing a pattern in your life, it can absolutely take a while. However, the more positivity you put in there, and the more you just feel what you need. Some nights you just cry. Some nights I lay there and just cry. Okay. I just do. And it's okay. You have to let it be. And you have to feel what you feel. Sometimes you have crazy dreams that won't stop. That's yourself processing everything that you're feeling and getting it out, right? And getting yourself through it. So instead of putting a timeline, maybe start tracking the healing. You know what I mean? Like, start looking at, oh my gosh, I feel so much better because I have freedom to do this. Or, start paying attention, sort of like a gratitude list for your own growth. Maybe. I don't know. It's a thought. I thought it was like between 3 and 7 years old that a narcissist's fate was sealed. I don't know. I believe that, well, they don't diagnose anyone until they're over 18. I thought it was over 20 something, early 20s, because I don't think they know, I don't know is the answer. I don't know. I think that children can be taught empathy. Not all children, if they are extremely lacking in empathy. And I don't know enough to actually get into it, because I'm going to say something that is inaccurate and someone's going to call me on it. And I'm still saying, I don't know. But I definitely know that past, 20s, forget it. It's okay. What's good? Hi, Venusia. Let's see. I've been no contact since 2017, and I'm not trauma bonded any longer, but I feel like some part of has died in me. I will never be able to feel emotional connection or attachment again. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Do you work on, or would you consider finding things that aren't personal, like not personal interactions, to try to open up your feelings? In other words, nature, some things that bring you joy, things that bring you pleasure, and letting yourself feel it, paying attention to the feelings so that you can reconnect to your own ability to connect. Does that make sense? It's harder with people because people are disappointing. They just are. People are not what they should, it's difficult with people. But if you feel like something is buried, or you said died in you, let's try and give it a little bit of hope and say something hasn't lit up yet. There hasn't been any light shown on it yet. Right? So let's shine some light. Can you find things that make you feel emotional connection? Music, nature, animals, anything, any art, expressiveness, dance, things like that. Can you find things in your life? And what do you think about that? All right. Iraq says, I hate to admit it, but I think there are toxic fleas involved here. I've engaged in reactive abuse, just sticking up for myself. It's impossible not to, isn't it? You can only do so much. You go gray rocking. And then the reactions happen. I would hope for you to get free of these people. Getting free, freedom, right? My star child sister is searching for guidance now. It's tricky for sure. My sister is sometimes toxic. Hello, Angela. Bonnie is saying, do I see patterns in my sister, Lise? Yes. I guess I was just blind to her toxic ways. People told me over the years. Okay, that's what I was asking. Can you look back now and see that it was that she had issues going on? Now I need to protect myself from her. It's so hard, isn't it? This happens. How long have you been away from your primary narcissist, or whatever you want to call it, your last relationship narcissist? Or was yours always family? I can't remember. I'm sorry. If you've said it a million times, I apologize. But Linnell says, my dad is such a special guy in her eyes. So healing from that source, tough. Growth. It's all growth. It is all growth. That's the beautiful thing, is it is all growth. Okay. Where do we go? Wow, there's a lot. You guys are awesome. You're chatting like crazy, and I am going so slow. Grieving the person that never was is very painful. It is very painful, and it is absolutely essential. And that's what I'm talking about with seeing the truth. Once you see the truth and accept it, you can't go back. And that's why it's, okay. Growth through it and move on to the next life and you. Absolutely. Hannah says, I'm going to therapy starting this week and exercising. It helps. It just still hurts. It does. It's going to still hurt. It's okay. It's okay. I'm telling you, Hannah, it's okay that it hurts. That's what I'm telling you, that we all feel that, and we all go through that. It's not okay. I don't want you to hurt, obviously, but what I mean is that that's part of the process. The hurting, maybe journal, let yourself feel it. Another thing you can try when you're hurting is asking yourself what you need. Okay. What do I need right now? Well, and then maybe write it down so you have some awareness of your needs. What would help? What would help? And don't say the narcissist, because that's not the answer. What would help? Honestly, sometimes it's being heard. Sometimes it's a hug. Sometimes it's not feeling so alone. Like, what is it where's the hole? What's happening? What are you gripping back to? Does that make sense? And then once you have that information, you can work on things that help you using self-care and help you give to yourself, because you've got a ton of empathy and you've got a ton of giving. It's just, it feels like no one's giving back to you when you're in those situations, but you're right there to give back to you. And it's not the same as another person. No, but it's important. It's important to learn what makes you feel better and how to self-nurture. Your key. You think you'll feel fatigue from trying to explain your story to those who are insincere or just don't get it. Maybe write it out, you rock freedom, so you can just read from it. Just say, hey, you know what? This story is what it is. I wrote it out because this is the easiest way for me to tell new people. So maybe just write it out and because doing that sometimes can give you a little space of detachment from it, where you still your story, it's still real. You felt it when you wrote it, but every time you read it, it doesn't have that same like energetic, emotional drain that it has, where you have to recall and draw it all back up. It's worth a shot. Okay. All right. It is weird to be grieving someone that really didn't exist, isn't it? You're not. You're grieving your own loss of a relationship that you thought was. So the part that you are grieving was real to you, right? That felt real. And it was real. So that's the part we're grieving a lot of times. And we're also, once you see that how unreal they are, instead of grief, you start getting mad. Most people do. It's frustrating and it's infuriating that someone has to be that way. So let the feelings come as they come. Okay. And we're all here. We understand. Bonnie, that experience is not within our culture. Film fair. Oh, I missed something. Okay. Narcs are a split personality. What I actually looked that up in what am I trying to say? Psychological journals. And what I read was a narcissist has, they don't have fully formed personality. They have a multiple hundreds of masks of half-baked personalities, half-formed personalities that they have acquired from grooming other people. So watching and grooming, they get a new mask. They come into a situation, oh, I'm going to be a chef. They go in and they learn all the chef talk and they learn how chefs act and they put the mask on. Oh, I'm going to be a this. They're chameleons, right? So they put the different masks on. They have a whole lot of those half-baked personalities. If you pulled that off, there'd be nothing there. It'd just be the miserable person that you see when they're in their like major devalue, because they haven't formed as children real personalities. That's what I've heard. So, okay. I feel anxious around narcissists. I have to be very guarded. After you realize they only want to hurt you, then stay away. That's right. You should feel anxious because they provoke anxiety and they're projecting their own. So why does a narcissist decide to stop sleeping in the same bed with their partner? Because it's called withholding, and it's a way to control you. It's a way to reject you. It's a way to control you. It's a way to keep you. It's power. It's all power. Okay. If they saw it in a movie, they can think that, yeah, they do, right. Pretending to empathize. Of course they pretend to empathize. They're not machines, they watch, they watch behaviors that especially covert narcissists, they watch behaviors that are socially acceptable and they put it on. So in other words, you're supposed to hug someone when they're sad, or else a whole big argument happens. They do the hug thing, but it's not real, right? They don't care that you're crying. They just want you to stop because they don't want to deal with it. And so they learn the habits that that looks like empathy. Okay. Curious about some ways to stick to boundaries when it is not possible to go no contact. There seems to be a lot of pushback. So much gray rock, Angela. So much gray rock. So much. It's almost like, I would think, especially with roommates, is that what you said? I would treat it like I would a petulant teenager. And if they can't respect the rules, take away the thing they're not respecting over and over and over till there's nothing left. But, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. People have to trust, they have to live with the boundaries set. And especially if compromise has already been made and you've discussed it. And, I think gray rocking, meaning trying to keep, once you've set the boundary and they're pushing against you and you gray rock to the point where there's nothing else except that boundary. How's that? It's pulling your personality back away from it and just being neutral while they're in their reaction to your boundary. Then the boundary is held, right? You're holding the boundary rather than reacting to it. Does that make sense? So it's a way to use gray rock. When we gray rock with a narcissist, my favorite technique with this is to remember on the inside that, number one, what they're doing, I name it. Oh, looks like they're going to project now. Yep, there it goes. Looks like they're gaslighting me. Okay, they're going to gaslight me, and then what's going to happen next? I already know this pattern. They're going to blame shift. There goes the blame shifting. In my head, I'm thinking this. On the outside, I'm being neutral. In my head, I'm thinking it doesn't really matter. I don't need to argue because I know the truth. I know what happened. I know what they're doing. I can see the two sides. There is no two sides to the argument. There's only two sides to what's happening. There's the reality of what actually happened and the false reality that the narcissist is creating. Why engage? That's what's going on in my head while they're going, rah, 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 and making noise at me. or was. Okay. So using that same idea, Angela, would be they're verbally, just say it's a verbal thing because I don't have an example in front of me, but they're doing something that pushes the boundaries. They're not doing it. They're arguing about it. They're ignoring something instead of having an outward reaction that's over the top and like super emotional, holding it back and holding the boundary and looking at the mess in the kitchen and just looking at it and looking at them. It's like dealing with little children when they don't listen, isn't it? Yeah. And if to me, if that were happen, I would get rid of all the dishes. I'd keep my dishes in my room. I'd get rid of the dishes. I would treat them like someone that wasn't respecting boundaries. They're not, so they don't have the privileges. That's what I'd do. Anyway. I thought he was right way to be, okay. La 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 la. This happened to me, says Angela, but he was still into sex, so it was not for that reason. Well, that's the intimacy. I mean, the sex is one thing. To a narcissist, it's not intimate anyway, right? It's control. But they darn well know that the cuddling afterwards is intimate, right? And the sleeping together is intimate. So of course they take it away. It's withholding. It's emotional withholding. Okay. Tracking your healing. That's a great idea. Good. Okay. Whoa. It just jumped and I lost a whole bunch. Where are we? Okay. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm not as fast as this as I should be. If I miss a question, you guys repeat it, please, because I'm skimming you're chatting like crazy and I love it, but I am lost. 9 months, no contact, 58 years, family bonds. Okay. I'm practicing responding versus reacting. Good. Asking myself how I feel. Lots of walking and some gym. Have a new therapist. Excellent. Hello, Jack. Angela is saying mirroring behavior. I'm experiencing this now. With a discard by my mom, she now is mirroring me, and sent me a list of rules for me that were my boundaries for her. Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. It's ridiculous, right? Well, good. You can just copy, return, right? Or just ignore her. Yeah, okay. I thought maybe writing it out would be re-traumatizing or something, but what you're saying makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're going to speak it out, so it wouldn't really necessarily... It's always is it re-traumatizing or is it validating? Maybe if you look at it like self-validation rather than re-traumatization. Does that make sense? You're validating yourself by putting it on paper. If it feels too triggering, stop. It's worth trying. I don't know. And that way you have it and you don't have to keep repeating yourself. I feel like it's more re-traumatizing to have to draw up the emotion every time. Because when you speak from just like I'm doing here, just what do they call it? From the hip? When you just speak from thin air like this, it's a lot more, you have to draw a lot more on emotion to express a story. If you read from a paper, it's a little bit removed and cold and distant. So it might be less traumatizing. I don't know. Mine said she doesn't know who she is. Yeah, well, that's right. Lise, you said once that you'd explain why certain ones try to purposely and detrimentally harm us. Could you explain that today, please? Yes, ask me more on that. I'm not understanding it as my head's a little all over the place here. Explain why certain ones try to purposely and well, because they're sadistic, number one, because it makes them feel powerful to have other people hurt the way they hurt. It's like a bully that bullies because they're bullied. Well, but so maybe they're drawing on their past traumas and they're just, instead of healing from their own wounds, they project it onto other people. And inflict it on other people, inflict the pain on other people to watch the pain reenact, sort of sadistically, like sometimes they're as sadistic as, the cat and mouse game, where they just actually enjoy watching the squirming. Not that cats are sadistic, but, kind of in that regard. It's fun. It's fun for them. It gives them a rush of feeling that they don't have otherwise, to watch people squirm, to watch people hurt, and to purposely harm someone they often need you to be beneath them so that they can be above you, because they feel so low themselves. So the lower they feel about themselves, the more beneath them they need to make you. So the more they need to hurt you. Does that make sense? Because they need to feel, because of the delusional aspect of narcissism, they need to have that grandiose feeling about themselves. They need to feel inflated above other people. So if they are already feeling pretty darn low, then they're going to need you to feel even lower than that in order to feel better than you. And on it goes. It's selfish. They're selfish. They want what they want, and they want it now. So, okay. Lise question. You have mentioned research about having them having 100 malformed personalities masks. Could you direct me to that material? If I can find it again, yes. It was a psychological journal, and it was a psychological, it was a bunch of therapists on a message board. So if I can find it again, I will. It was kind of I get it. And it makes sense. It's it's the masks, right? It's just explained a little differently. If I can find it, I will pass it along. Sex was used way wrong. Sex is always used way wrong. I have 2 videos that are over an hour long on it that I did a couple weeks ago. Sex is never a good thing with a narcissist, even if it is good sex. So I got lost again. Okay. Gray rock is in effect. Excellent. It's all gaslighting behavior, blame shifting, and they are calling me difficult and saying I won't compromise. Of course, it's just my boundaries they can't handle. Who cares what they say? You just be the house mother. You know what I mean? You be the adult among children. And sometimes it's just you're not the popular one when you're the adult, and you have to hold boundaries. You're never going to be popular when no one follows the rules and you're the only one who can. It's just not. It's not a nice place to be. And hopefully you can get out of that soon, right? Okay. You're saying that because you have to engage right now, you're reacting more. Well, that makes sense, right? Iraq, let's see. Lise, Fashion Family is saying, what's the difference between projection and deflection? Deflection would be wanting to avoid something and changing the subject. So I say, hey, you didn't do the dishes. And they say, did you see the bunny? I thought there's a bunny in the room somewhere. They're deflecting, right? They're deflecting the topic onto something else. Projection would be, those aren't my dishes. You're the one who was supposed to do the dishes. You're the one who never does the dishes. You didn't do the bathroom. You said you're going to do the bathroom, when really it's because it's blame shifting, but it's also projecting the thing that they don't. That was a bad example, but they don't want. Projection is not having accountability for your actions, but also stating the thing that you're not accountable for as if the other person is the one who's not accountable. So someone might say, everything you do for attention. Everything you do for attention. When in fact they're a stark raging narcissist and everything they do is for attention. And you are someone that, of course, we all like attention, but you do things because you just want to keep peace and you just want things to be pleasant. Does that make sense? And they're projecting themselves onto you. So that's a little bit of an example. Very conscious of my facial expressions, says Iraq Freedom, and not being pulled in. My father started to act aggressive. My mother said how nice it is. My dead sister's best friend has a oh gosh, I'm getting lost here. Okay. Lise, why do the malignant ones intentionally harm us detrimentally? because it makes them feel good. It gives them power, because a malignant person will derive pleasure from other people's defeat, from other people being lesser than, from other people losing, right? From other people being hurt. It's about power. It's about their own feeling of grandiose power that they need to feel. Sadistic people with sadistic natures need to feel that if they're malignant and sadistic, they actually derive pleasure from other people. So it's the same as getting a new toy, or same as any pleasure that you might have, only it's at the cost of someone else's pain. Why? I don't know the why on because they have no empathy, and because so in people who have sadism involved with, so like when they have done functional MRIs on people with psychopathy and high level narcissism, and they have watched where the brain lights up when shown images of people hurting, instead of empathy firing, part of the brain where pleasure is derived starts firing. So there's that. They're wired wrong. They're wired wrong for compassionate, empathic living. Okay. It's okay. It's a lot. I just don't think I can read it all. I'm getting lost here. I'll go back and read it and try and answer you, Iraq, in writing, if not here. Okay. Put question to start your question, please. Yes, that's a good idea, because then I don't get so lost. Because you guys are awesome today. You're super chatty, and I love it. All right. Tried to get you arrested for drunk driving, and she encouraged me to have another drink, but I didn't. Was sober when the police pulled me over. Yeah, well, yeah, because it makes her look good, right? It's about her. It's control. Okay. She may have always been, Bonnie. She may have always been a full-blown narcissist. It's just that you weren't seeing it because you weren't on the receiving end of it yet. Does that make sense? I think a lot of times we don't see familial narcissism in particular because we're not on the receiving end of the abuse yet. It's when they turn on us that we see it. And that's why I think it's hard for other people to understand when you're the one who's the scapegoat and no one gets it. They don't see it until the person turns on them. And then they go, oh my gosh, that's what she's been talking about or he's been talking about. So, and it's part of it. It's just part of the way it is, right? Okay, Lise, she would want us to meet up and pretend it was a first date. It felt so weird. She made the anonymous call. Oh, okay. When it's your parents, it's so hard. Yeah, they need the mouse, they need the chase, and we need the no contact. Seriously, it's really the best way. Lise, thanks. I will look out for a comment from you on this video. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, if I can't find it, I can't find it. It was a while back, but that's what it was. If you want to Google that with those criteria, that might be quicker. Why are you always on your phone? Are you cheating on me? Projection. Exactly. That's projection. Why are you always on your phone? Are you cheating on me? What are we having for dinner? That's deflection. Okay. The answer being something unrelated, and it's gaslighting and deflection. All right. Yes, most of us do hate the confrontation. Let's see. It's a form of gaslighting, right? Yes, it is a form of gaslighting, the bunny. It's the beginning of it's the little bud of gaslighting as it starts into the big rolling, spilling gaslighting word salad that follows. Okay. The deflection, I feel like the deflection is one of the first thing that happens. Like they'll project, then they'll deflect. And as they deflect, that's when the gaslighting, it's like the spark of the gaslighting, and then they go on a roll with it. And then the word salad starts, and then, it's a whole, if you watch them, they each have their own pattern for it too. And then you can just like sit there and internally roll your eyes. They are wired wrong. They just don't fall into the narcissistic traps they put in front. Okay. She turned on me, and yes, I got it full blown. That's what happens. That's exactly what can happen. Okay. Question. Okay. Sister is a covert narcissist that kisses up to Queen Narc mommy. Can you have more than 2 or more malignant narcissists in your family at a time? Absolutely. You can have a whole bunch of them. You can, yes. Yeah. Sorry. It's almost like at that point, I would just create a new family somewhere else with friends and people who are actually caring and walk away as best I could. You guys able to go no contact with your parents? How you feel about that? And what stops you? That's a question I have. That would be awesome, E-Rock Freedom, if you can do that. Question, is there a place to look up all these terms? Hoover, gaslight, etc. There are videos. If you just look up the terms in Google, they will pop up with a zillion videos. I try to do a video on each one, so you can, if you put my name in, I mean, you don't have to use mine only, but if you put my name or Angie's name or whatever in a Google search and then the name like Lise Colucci Hoover, videos should pop up because we tag the videos with the topic matter. Does that make sense? And Angie's, if you put Angie's name and then the topic matter, it'll come up as well. The terms, I think she has a list on Queen Being with all the terms and what they mean. Pretty sure it's hard to keep track of everything, of where everything is, especially when it all is stored up here already. Okay. What are we talking about, Vicky? Is whatever you want to talk about today. I'm answering questions. I'm trying to help with what's up right now in your present life. We've been on almost an hour, so we'll probably end pretty soon. But if you have a question, hit me with it. Hi, Nikki Ann. Same thing goes for you. Let's see. Okay, I think there was one more question from. Let me go back to this if I can. Oh, so silly. Okay. Oh, there was another one. One of them was already answered. How do you deal with the ex-narcissist family? His family contacts me and wants to be part of my life. I was invited to events. Let's see. So I go, and then the wedding invites come out. Let's see. And she was not invited. And so now she's hurt. Okay. I think when you're dealing with the ex's family, you have to make choices on who is safe and who is not safe to continue having in your life. You have to, especially if this is a long marriage or a long-term partnership where the family has become like your family, it can be really difficult to let go of people who are good to you and who are not narcissistic. You know, there's all kinds of dynamics that can happen. You have to, I think, weigh each person by person and see what's good for your life and what isn't good for your life, and be really honest about it with yourself and let go of what you have to let go of. If someone cannot stop being a flying monkey back to the narcissist, then they may be someone that, good or not, they need to be let go of. Does that make sense? I think you need to be honest with what's going on, realize you're no longer part of the family anymore, and you won't be. I would decline all invitations that had anything to do with the family itself. The only thing I would personally do is speak individually to people that are one-on-one and not be included as if I was part of the family anymore. Does that make sense? Because it's confusing and it's triangulating, and it puts people in the position of having to invite you or not invite you based on whether the narcissist is there or not there. You know, they have to make it, puts the whole thing gets sticky. So I would minimize and condense it to just the few people who mattered and who are able to maintain a relationship separate from, basically a relationship based on you and them, not a relationship based on you, them, and the dynamic of what it was with the narcissist around. And that's hard. Most people can't do that. So sometimes we just have to let go, and other times it can be worked out. That's my answer there. And being really careful, because flying monkeys are real, and people do it unintentionally. So Seeing how you, and how you feel matters. How you feel about it is what matters. Lise, my 23-year-old boy has turned. He told me he hates the boy that he was. He was a wimp. He killed him off. Oh, that's awful. Is it possible to cut people off emotionally, says Angela, and still be in their lives? As an empath, I find it extremely difficult as I can't get away from my feeling things. Yeah, because then you're forced to dissociate, and is that healthy? It's a good question. Quick point all, think how lucky we are that we are in the know regarding narcissism and have all the support, mostly online, as opposed to being confused and alone. I was just thinking this today. Again, I want to write my open letter to the narcissist soon here. So if anyone has anything they want to add, put it in comments, send me an email. My email's in the main comment. You can find me there. And let me know what you want me to add. I want to write that, read it, publish it, give us some validation because, we see it. We know what's going on. And we don't want to tell them. It's not about them. It's about us, right? Okay, let's see. Yes, Dana Morningstar's red flags is definitely a good go-to. I find it difficult. Let's see. Oh, Nikki is asking me something. Wait. I hit the hour. I'm getting crazy. All right, Lise, I had something happen in Spanily. Someone put my ex's picture in our group. Oh. Okay, contact me on Facebook if you can, all right? Anytime, any admin. We're always there. Okay, have I had any luck with the image streaming? I haven't tried it yet. Thank you for the reminder. You can think in pictures now. It was still seeing colored lines and blobs, but thoughts is an improvement. I love it. Okay, it's exciting. Okay, Bonnie. Bonnie says she likes the idea of the open letter to a narcissist. Yeah, I do too. Because, and we can't send that. We can't tell them these things. It's never going to give us closure, but we can get our own closure, and this might help other people feel validated. That's my point. All right. Oh, Nikki, that's so cool. Okay, I'm going to try. Okay, I keep saying I'm going to try it, and then I forget. All right. Get myself on this visualization thing with the rest of you. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Let's see if I had any other questions in here, unless I closed it again. No, I did not. Okay. Somebody asked about help knowing for sure if their partner is a narcissist. You don't know for sure. You can't know for sure because they're not going to go take a test and get evaluated and talk to therapists. And they're not going to do all that honestly and openly so that you get the actual definitive answer. We don't know that they're narcissists. We just know they behave in a way that shows narcissistic traits. We don't know. We call them narcissists. We don't know they're narcissists. I try to use the word toxic person more often with narcissistic behaviors, unless someone truly is diagnosed with NPD, and then that's what it is. But we don't know. What we know is toxic. And what we know is that the way we're being treated, if we're sitting there at night Googling, why do they blah, why do I feel la, 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 whatever, all these horrible things, then there's something going on. And we know that we need to change something in our life. And that usually means stepping away from the toxicity. I understand people wanting to know 100% know for sure, because we know that narcissists can't change. But can somebody who just is acting selfish change? My answer there is still, do you want to spend the rest of your life trying to figure it out? Or do you want to move on and have a life free of toxic people? And if so, if they can change, can they just go do it on their own and prove it? Not that you want to keep the door open, because you don't. So in a sense, if someone's treating you in a toxic way, that's the nature of your relationship. And it's not, is it worth it to you to spend the rest of your life figuring out whether waiting around for somebody else to fix their stuff when they haven't proven at all that they're going to fix it? Okay. Narcissists never look at themselves. They won't admit it, no less do anything about it. That's right. So especially if you have someone in your life who displays no accountability, to me, that's one of the biggest signs. Someone that can't be accountable for anything, doesn't show any empathy, you can pretty much just assume that they probably are narcissists. You can't know because obviously we don't know. They're toxic enough to not be safe, not emotionally safe for you. So, okay. I enjoyed every single second of Luke P's Narcissist getting his due in The Bachelorette last night. Anyone watch it? No, I did not. Most people will never change because they aren't willing to be realistic about their issues. Exactly. Think about how hard it is for us to change when we want to. Oh, Nikki, every single time. Will you just always be here? You always have the best replies to something said that is so succinct. I love it. It is so hard to change. We want to change. Think how hard it is, and we want it, right? She's right. We want this so much. We want our lives to be better. We want ourselves to be improved. We want to grow. We want to change. We want to evolve. And it is not, it's so hard. It's totally possible, but it's hard. Someone unwilling, someone whose life rolls along because they get away with whatever they want, why would they change that? And especially if they've got no empathy, they won't. Okay. They aren't born with an N on their forehead. They sure aren't. It would be so easy if they were, because then we could just know what they are, and then there'd be purpose and function to it all. Oh, there's the narcissist. They get their way. Let's follow them when we need our way. Just kidding. There's no knowing. You just have to pay attention to the way people treat you. And if you're in a situation where it's toxic, the answer is get out. How many people do we have to kick out of our lives? Then we end up alone. It's horrible. Is it? Sometimes it is. Sometimes I sit there and go, oh, got a couple left. Just a few. And other times I don't care. I don't care. Rather be alone and happy than dealing with the toxicity and being dragged down and full of anxiety. I got enough anxiety without somebody else. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's all of them. We do. We just have to kick them out and move on. And meeting new people is great. Okay. Better none than several maggot-infested souls. Indeed so. I'm too old for anxiety, and I'm too old for anxiety too. It just gets ridiculous, right? Okay. All right. Anything else today? We are late. That's okay. Actually, I need to go. I have an appointment. All right. All right, you guys. So tomorrow I want to talk about, what did I say? Let's see. A video addressing to our friends, to our loved ones, to anyone that doesn't know what a narcissist is, that doesn't have one in their life, that you want to have something to just show them something that describes what we're going through. Anyone wants to help me with that, I'd fully appreciate it. Leave it in the main comments, please, not in the chat because I'll lose it. Or email me, coachlisec@gmail.com, coachlisec@gmail.com, and just give me a short paragraph or whatever if you want to play to help get information out there for people who aren't involved with narcissists, to help them understand what it is you are going through who is involved with a narcissist. So that is a great idea someone had, and I would love to be able to provide that with more information than just my own. So hit me up if you want. If you don't, that's cool too. But let's see. Is it hard? It's not hard. It's not going to be hard. It's going to be fun. Okay. All right. Okay, that's it. Here we go. If you've not subscribed, please hit subscribe. If you enjoy this program, please hit the thumbs up. If you like the subject matter, today was all over the place and that was kind of fun. And if you would like text notifications of when I go live. I send a text 5 to 10 minutes prior. And the only text I send, text me at 33222 and put the word Lise Live, all one word, LISELIVE, and I will send you that text every time. And that's it. You guys take care. You have a great day. And I'll see you tomorrow, probably morning time Pacific. Special Wednesday. Don't normally do Wednesdays, but I have some free time, so I'm going to do it. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.